The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
We have Mike from Chicago on the line, and he has a question about digestion.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
First of all, I just wanted to say that I love the show. I think it's great programming, and I'm very much of a like mind when it comes to, taking control of your own health and certainly doing your own research.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Happy Friday, folks, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world to take back control of our personal choices as well as our health and freedom. I'm Nico Haan.
And I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater. It's about 82 degrees, a little humid. But next week, Paige, we're going to have nights that are in the 60s.
Well, this is my favorite time of year.
Yeah, it's a good time of year.
It's a beautiful time of year. October and April give us that nice feeling of...
Yeah, and it's a little earlier this year.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks earlier, which is really good. Folks, please subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter, and please order our new Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. You can use your discounted Tiger Dollars if you have some, and you can do this all on the TFNN website.
How about that? Tom's helping people stay healthy.
He does. TFNN.com. And we're taking your phone calls, folks, at 877-927-6648. So we
got a treat.
I got a treat. I got from the publisher, I got this book called Primal Nutrition. It's Paleolithic and Ancestral Diets for Optimal Health by Ron Schmid, ND. And it was forwarded by Nora Gagalis and Sally Fallon Memorial.
You know what? It was so neat, Nico, is when you brought this in, I have for a long time really respected Ron Schmid. He's a naturopathic doctor out of Connecticut. But you and I were talking about when I joined you on this show 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
I was really trying to integrate the Paleolithic with the Western price culture.
Yes, you were.
I call that traditional diet.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone could do it better than to blend the beliefs that we've kind of evolved into than this book.
He really went over a lot of the things. Of course, Weston Price went everywhere around the world, and every continent, every South Pacific island. He went to the Eskimos, he went into Russia, he went into Indonesia and the Aborigines in Australia, and he really documented his stuff. So that's one of the purest scientists out there working in the field and discovering. And, one of the things I didn't know, and I studied Weston Price in college, and then again when I started on the paleo diet, and then again I looked at it when you came, and my professor Eduardo de Lima also was always talking about Weston Price, and it just hits home because he was also one of his secondary goals, which I didn't know. He was really looking for people who were living on their original diet and were vegetarians. That was one of his primary goals. He was looking for this, never found it.
But what he never found was a society that was vegetarian that had these extreme health conditions.
Exactly.
It was societies that ate nutritious whole food fats, animal food based fats that had the superior dentition and longevity and health factors. And that's very interesting compared to some of the other research that now people are presenting, such as the China study, where they're suggesting that the vegetarian diet is the only way to a long life. So what we really have to do is kind of look at the research, look what's behind it, and there could be a number of ways to be healthy. I'm right there. Yeah, well,
he also makes a difference in, he says the healthiest people were around the shore who were eating the wild sea life. But the people who were inland, and this happened also in Australia, where the inland is totally extreme. You're talking about desert conditions, mountain conditions, very little growing going on there. But these people somehow, and we don't know how, knew what to do with these foods, that if you ate them raw and you didn't do anything to them, they would make you sick and probably kill you in the long run. And they found ways of using these, and their health inland was very close to the shore. Very interesting
Must have
thing.
been some 100th monkey stuff going on that carried on traditions because there weren't any telephones and cell phones to say, hey, let me copy you on this diet.
Yeah, and this one valley that was in Switzerland that was really surrounded by mountains. These people never left the valley. And he was actually tracking the mortality rates from the season. So when the season was full-fledged, the grass was growing high, they're eating the animals that ate the grass, but also using milk and cheeses and yogurts and things. Properly aged. And what happens was, during those times when that grass was the greenest, the mortality rates were the lowest. And when the grass wasn't as high, mortality rates went up. Direct correlation. They weren't eating the grass, folks. They were eating the animals or getting substances from the animals. The other thing that's huge that we don't do today is that a lot of these cultures were eating mostly the innards of the animals. In other words,
the glands,
organs
and glands,
and the livers and the brain and all the
chicken
fat
hearts.
in the heads and chicken hearts,
Brains.
and really taking the muscle meat and giving it to their pets.
Yeah, the leftovers.
Yeah, this is what we prize today. So I thought that was very interesting. Folks, it's a very good book. It's brand new, Primal Nutrition by Dr. Ron Schmid. And I really highly recommend it. It's very good reading. Really goes deep into Western price. And I think that's really one of the keys for me, because that and why our medical community doesn't look at this is mind-blowing to me.
Well, let me tell you something. Nico, you remember a couple of years ago, I was real involved in trying to get the fluoride removed from our water. Actually,
yes. That's how we met.
Yeah, we were actually successful, and then we are now the laughingstock of the communities because we were a million-person community that had fluoride removed, and we allowed lobbyists to pad pockets and get it back added in. When I was in front of one of our little towns, the paid dentists that come out, some of the local dentists that are on the payroll for that motion, came out, and I remember speaking with one of the dentists, and I looked at him and I said, I'm sure, as you know, Weston Price, and he looked at me and he goes, who's Weston Price? But he had a smirk on his face.
Really?
Almost like he didn't want to acknowledge who he was. And of course, that caused me, my little Irish, to flash and flush. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know who Weston Price is? But, again, it was interesting that you made the comment that you studied him in college. Weston Price's seminal work is an over 1,000-page book called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. I highly recommend people get it. I highly recommend the Sally Fallon cookbook. I gave it to all my loved ones as a Christmas present. My daughter actually tells me she loves it because there's a lesson, nourishing traditions. There's a lesson about why the foods are cooked this way, and you learn how to make bone broths and how to prepare cheeses and yogurts and kefirs. But yeah, that was really great of them to send us this book because they know that this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here, folks. We're here to, help you be healthy and make the right choices.
Another good thing about this, he talks about cancer treatments and what is good and what isn't. Certainly, he says that traditional cancer treatments like the chemo and the radiation are one path you can go to, but he really goes in depth and speaks about how it really destroys the immune system. And then after the treatments, they're trying to scrape enough together to get you well again.
Well, very few people actually die from cancer. They usually die from the side effects of the treatments of cancer.
Yeah.
So when you really backtrack on that comment, you start to realize that we've got to get our eyes wide open, and not be eyes wide shut and understand what are you actually saying when you're saying that?
Well, it really doesn't make sense, because the first thing to me, being a novice and not being a doctor, I would say, let's strengthen the body so it can fight this disease. That just makes more sense to me. And what we're doing in the conventional treatments, and I saw this happen to my sister.
And my family, as well.
And I remember when she started her treatments, quite a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and she had said, this is the hardest choice I have to make. She says, this is what I'm stuck with, doing what these doctors say that I know it might kill me, and having very few options. And, well, she chose to go along with that, something I may not have done. And now that I saw her that way and then have read about all the other patients who are going that path, and some people do recover. There's definitely
Lots
ways,
of people do.
Everybody is a little bit different. And if you go the traditional old-fashioned way, as Ron Schmidt is talking about, you may not recover either. But I think your chances are better. And one thing for sure is you're going to be better throughout the treatments. And that is really the key. What do you want? Do you want to see your health failing and hope that you have a chance to recover? Or do you want to see your health slowly improving? Maybe you'll die, but maybe you won't.
So you mentioned, we brought that up. I think we put it in one of our newsletters about the 80-year-old Greek man, Stamatis, is his last name, I think, that was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and decided instead of going through traditional chemotherapy, he said, no, I'm just going to go back to Greece and live in my little cottage by the sea. And 20 years later, he was still alive, no treatment. The doctors who had diagnosed him as terminal and insisted that he needed to go through these programs had long since died.
Well, going back to Greece was probably what saved his life, because there your traditional meals are still happening. We got all those islands. These people stick with what they know is successful.
Yeah, so his name begins with an S. I was trying to pull it up and I couldn't get through to it, but just Google, terminal lung cancer, Greek man survives with no treatment, and it comes right up.
Yeah, and I'm just getting to the point in this book now where they're talking about the different types of treatments, and I certainly haven't heard of quite a few of them. Some of them involve like bovine linings of the stomach and intestines, using that as treatment. Really highly successful from what I'm reading. But there are other treatments that he's going to be discussing in that. I haven't got that far yet. But
I'll look forward to an update on that.
Yeah, it's very, very fascinating. And, I encourage everybody to, whether it's this book or any other book that talks about ancestral health, I think first step may be going to Weston Price, westernprice.org.
Yeah, run, folks, to that website and just subscribe so you can get updates. They have a great journal that they produce. And Dr. Schmidt also, one of his great books is The Untold Story of Milk. And that was really, as far as I know, his book prior to this book.
Yeah.
And, when we come back from our next break,
we're
I
going to talk about milk a little bit.
Yeah, there's a couple of articles that have come out, about was mainstream world wrong in steering us away from milk, and then maybe a counterpoint or two.
Yeah.
But another thing that we talk about is the power of making the right choices. If we're going to have milk, it's got to be the right kind of milk. It's got to be the right kind of cheese.
And there's a couple of factors that take place in that, because some milk we're not even allowed to have in this country, where other countries are much more relaxed on that. But folks, I'd like you to join the conversation if you're interested in this. The number here is 877-927-6648. Please subscribe to the Health Signals newsletter. You get 2 issues a month for just $5 each issue. That's $10 a month. Of course, first 30 days is free. You can cancel at any time, no pressure. But I think you'll find that if you want to do research on your own, this is a good place to start.
Well, we've actually done the starting for them.
Yeah.
We've conglomerated hours of research that we do during the week while you're trading, and we kind of condense into the stuff that we think you need to know. So.
And the other thing that's really important is to pick up some Primal Edge. We have gotten letters and emails from people giving us just fantastic reports on how they're feeling, how they love the product, and how easy it is to take. And you can feel the difference almost immediately in many cases. So please stick around, 877-927-6648. We'll be right back. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Direction's daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Hey, and welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. And today, Nico and I are talking a little bit about milk and the right kinds of milk. And was the government wrong to steer people away from whole milk?
Well, we think it was, definitely.
Well, we've been saying a long time that the way that a traditional farmer prepares his animals for processing is so that they produce a larger yield and gain weight is to feed them cereal and skim milk.
Yep.
And we saw that.
Well, this trend actually started, I think, in the 1970s, maybe the 80s, that they were talking about let's get rid of the whole milk and use skim milk or use the fat-free, the fat phobia. And, of course, we see a lot of products like the low-fat cheeses, the low-fat yogurt, all these low-fat things. And, of course, what do they replace the low-fat with? They
chemicals.
Yeah, because remember, the fat is what makes you not only satisfied, but it tastes good. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's where a lot of the nutritional content of the milk is. And I want to acknowledge Confetti Wars made a comment. Mm-hmm. What about the countries that eat the most dairy products? Why is it that they have the highest bone fracture rates? So I want to address that first question.
That's a good question. Good question.
Let's use as an example the United States. Yeah. Milk does a body good, but I submit that the milk that the average American is drinking is no longer a health food. It is not the right kind of milk. It's either skim with these chemical additives, 2%. Or even then it's whole milk from factory farm cows that are eating non-natural foods for their stomach, which are grains and so forth.
And henceforth they need
GMOs,
antibiotics.
And they're antibiotic ridden. So these countries that have these high bone fracture rates are related to people that countries that have high dairy consumption, but they're consuming it from dairy cows that aren't eating what they're supposed to eat. Going back to what we talked about before the break, Weston Price determined that the healthiest people were people who ate animals or animal products that consumed rapidly growing grass. And so what was in that rapidly growing grass? Well, I'm going to tell you what was in that, okay?
Yeah.
He spent his life and he identified it as the activator X. It was this activator X that was responsible for this supreme health and beauty, dentition, etc. What it was, folks, as we now know, I don't believe it occurred during his lifetime, is activator X is known also as vitamin K2. Not K1, think K1, green leafy vegetables. K2 is the fat-soluble vitamin found abundantly in cheeses and milk products from dairy cows, and also from natto, which is a stinky soy-based product that produces highly fermented. You know, but natto is fermented is a healthy way to get it, not a particularly pleasant. So vitamin K2, folks, tells your calcium to stay out of your arteries. Don't clog the arteries. Stay in the bones and build healthy bone and structure.
Yeah.
So that's why these healthy crowds did that. Your other comment was, just because some people are vegetarian or raw vegan does not mean they are eating adequately. You know, for example, look at Steve Jobs. That's a great point. I have a lot of people that are in that field, and I ask them what do they have for lunch, and it's macaroni, Kraft macaroni and cheese. You know, they're not necessarily they're buying processed cheese food.
Yes.
Grains. So that, again, there's no category that assures that it's the perfect diet. We are trying to find what we think affords people the greatest opportunity for health, and we're looking at some great research, like the book that we just went over.
Yeah, and one of the things that he says in the book too is that it's all about the fat. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't think about the fat first, which when I did that about 2 years into going into this primal research and changing my diet, it took me a couple of years to get that. It actually took Nora Gagatis in an interview with her to sink it into my brain that what we're talking about is fuel. Our body has needs. It has a need for these fat-soluble ingredients. Good for our brain, good for our body. It has a need for a little protein, maybe 20% of your diet is protein. Has no need for carbohydrates. There is no nutritional need at all for any kind of carbohydrates.
Well, I like to say there's no macronutritional need.
Yeah, macro.
But there are phytochemicals and so forth
Certainly are, yeah.
that can be critical now that we live in such a toxic world. For example,
even before, I think.
Yeah, well, and our ancestors had this alchemical knowledge, this intuition that if they ate these bright colored fruits and veggies that they would see the benefits.
Seasonally.
Yeah, seasonally. They knew when the berries were red, when the berries were black. Eat me. I'm good for you.
I like that sound of that.
Yeah.
Folks, the numbers are 877-927-6648. We'll be back in a few minutes and continue this conversation about milk and many other things we got on the palette here. So stick around.
You've heard Nico de Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418 8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Over from Europe.
Welcome back, folks. Nico and Paige here. We were talking about, the fat, and we're talking about animal products. And, we have one of our listeners that's in the chat room, and he sent us a nice private message saying that he really likes the show, and I really appreciate that. And he says, I think it's one of the best subjects all around that I've come across. He says, but I'm not really sold on the meat thing. He says, but don't worry about that. And, I want to say...
We don't want you to worry about it either.
Yeah, the only thing that then is negative about the vegan diet that Ron says in his book is that in later years, because of the missing factors, there's a lot of mental illness.
Senility, yes.
Senility.
The B12, the absorption of the folate, the B12.
But I think,
we've got some ways to help. We do that in the Primal Edge.
Of course. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, too, that if you're feeling great, why would you switch anything? Mm-hmm. And that's the real key. Now, if you've got some problems, then you're going to start to investigate. But if you feel great every day, you wake up and you say, yeah, I'm on the right track, hey, that's good enough for me. Mm-hmm. And we're all a little bit different, and certainly Ron says that in his book, and all the people that we talk to that are so-called experts are saying pretty much that. We know a few things. We know that eating seasonally is much better for us, Absolutely. And it makes a lot of sense. Eating locally, it just makes a lot of sense from being sustainable.
and eating wild and animals that are animals or plants that are in their native environment or eating their native foods.
Yeah, so
as we said, there can be a lot of people that are following a Paleolithic or primal diet, but they're getting very, CAFO-type foods from the grocery store. They're eating a lot of restaurants, and they can get sick because of the toxins in the foods.
Yeah.
At the same time, we can have a lot of vegan vegetarians that are eating in restaurants, high incidence of parasitical infections in vegans and vegetarians because restaurants don't follow the same kind of sanitation that you might at home, and they eat out in restaurants. They're heavily pesticided, and they're not taking those precautions. I work with people no matter where they're at. I just want them to have a healthy diet and get what they need and really tune into what their body needs and pay attention because your body will tell you what you need.
Yeah, and I have customers, I've got a couple of new customers, one that just came back recently. And her name's Sharon, really good friend of mine, was living up north for a little while, came back, up North Florida. And she hadn't eaten red meat for many, many years. I don't know how long. And she says, I tried a steak the other day, felt pretty good. I said, I says, if you're successful doing what you're doing, there's really no need to change. I'm telling you these foods are good, and what you're reading now, it's telling you it's good. But if you're feeling good, unfortunately she wasn't. She was not feeling great, so she wants to make a change. Be careful when you make a change too. Don't go all hog in. I know in the beginning when I said I was going to change, I went all in. Maybe not the smartest way of doing it. Luckily, I didn't have any bad effects. I had all good effects, but I think the healthier you are, the less waves are created in your body, let's say. So if you're really not feeling good and you're joint pain, you don't sleep well, you're not active, you got to start off slowly. That's all I can say about that.
It makes a lot of sense, Nico. We call it an elimination diet or introduction diet. When you are really trying to become intuitive, and that's what we need to be empowered, we need to take care of our own bodies, self-healing, and taking care and being watchful and mindful of what our body's telling us. When you eliminate foods and then you add one food back, you're listening and watching and paying attention to how your body responds. I hope Al can click onto our picture, or you can click onto this picture, because we've been talking about dairy milk. We've got a nice, cute little girl here sipping on a skinny latte. You think that skinny latte is going to help you stay slim? Yes. Sorry, ladies, it won't do that. It might just make you fatter. Very much what we've been seeing. See a lot of executives that have that Starbucks habit, that $15 twice a day Starbucks habit. They're getting those lattes and caramel macchiatos and everything.
Yeah, in fact, this particular thing is from the UK, and they were talking about that the obesity levels are now 10 times higher than they were in the 1970s, particularly in 1972, and small amounts of fat leave you feeling fuller for longer. So the key to health and looking good is really unprocessed food and adding the fat back in. So people who are getting these lattes, and they look good and they taste good, but they're taking out the fat again.
They take out the fat out of these lattes. They add a lot of chemicals and sugars to make them taste good, to make up for the lost
even
fat.
Little salts.
So figure a $10 a day habit. You're talking $300 a month. We share people kind of the idea, our little version. If you are really looking for that creamy beverage,
Tiger Brew.
Tiger Brew, our little Tiger Brew, kind of inspired from the Bulletproof coffee. We have our little edge. We actually think we were ahead of Dave Osprey in introducing collagen. I was. It was before he had it on the market. Yep. Adding collagen and those kind of things to help make it even more healthful. So.
And it's hard for people to get the concept. A new client that came in last week, she says, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that fat doesn't make you fat. She says, because we've been told for so long that fat makes you fat. Fat does not make you fat. Excessive fat may. Excessive protein may. But normal eating does not make you fat. Carbohydrates in excess will make you much fatter.
Excess carbohydrates are stored as fat, period. And again, I always spend a lot of time with my clients educating them on their optimal blood results versus what they've been told by their doctor. My doctor's worried that my cholesterol is high. But then I look at it, and the doctor doesn't say anything about their high triglycerides. Your triglycerides are your blood fats as a result of eating carbs.
Yeah, high cholesterol foods are good for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But let me back
up. But the kind of fats is what we really need to talk about, right?
But when you know how you and I were talking about it, I on the break I was telling Nico, my mentor, Dr. Bob Marshall, is about to release his new book, The Biofield Diet, which basically is a real contradiction to what we're saying here. Dr. Marshall is embracing more of a John McDougall type diet.
Which is what?
Which is very low fat and more of an introduction to, it is more raw food, which I believe is good on both parts. But what the real premise of it is that the 900-pound gorilla in the room is processed oils. So there's a lot of what I'm taking, and I'm pulling different things. He actually encourages rices and more like an Asian type of diet, you might think, kind of an intermittent fasting. It fits in. There's some things I like about it, and I do.
Hey, as long as you prepare these products properly, I don't see...
Resistant type starch, refrigerating it. But what I do want to say is that what Dr. Marshall is teaching us, and it's proving right on energetic testing, is the 900-pound gorilla in the room is the rancid oils. Because a lot of people are buying oils, and they are, in fact, rancid. And a lot of people...
Because they're processed already. That makes them rancid right there.
There's two organ glands that are critical for digestion and health, and that's our gallbladder and our liver. And our gallbladder and our liver are extremely stressed. So he's saying the 900-pound gorilla in the room that's keeping us from having outrageous health is liver gallbladder stagnation. So by the time you're 40, because we all grew up in this processed oil world that we've in, the fast food world.
But actually,
before we knew better.
Every restaurant in America, I guarantee it, 99%.
Cooks in soy oil.
Yeah, or soy oil, peanut oil, or any kind of vegetable oil, not lard like we used to. McDonald's started out with lard. Tom used to own a restaurant in Boston. Always had lard.
And lard is the way to go.
Lard is the way to go.
But the processed oils wanted that money, that revenue. Remember what we tell you, if you walk in a grocery store and you see oil in a clear bottle, run. But what I like about what Dr. Marshall has done and what I have found is extremely effective is doing an oil change. So clients that work with me on their cleansing, I call myself a conscious cleansing coach, and I work with them. We do an oil change, and that includes no oils, which only the oils that you get from or fats that you get from the food. So the oil that's in a steak, the oil that's in a burger, the oil that's in a fish, the oil that's naturally in the seeds. But what we find is we want to minimize those omega-6 seeds that, too much. I mean, we need them, but we need some of those too. I'm a big fan of the algae-based DHA.
Yes.
So we kind of supplement and rebuild up that omega-3, and we really eliminate. So I do believe that even though we have been proposing, I do feel like butter is an oil that's in the food. But is coconut oil?
Probably not.
It is a processed oil. And my concern is, what about the coconut manna and the meat? Maybe, or the meat, when you open a coconut, if you were eating it on top of a salad, that might be the whole food. So for those people that are energetically testing stress and liver gallbladder, and maybe they have a belly, that gives me a sign that the bile and stuff's not working, not so much coconut oil in the coffee. See, we need that oil change.
There's another way to look at it too, Paige, is that we're trying to really substitute our modern foods with something that acts the same way as the foods that are no longer available. Right. In other words, I was explaining to one of my customers the other day, how many vegetables do we eat? How many different kinds of plants do we eat? Years ago, maybe 50 to 100 different plants were in most tribes' vocabulary. And now we're really talking about maybe one or two. I mean, we talk about a carrot and something else, but when we talk about kale and all these other asparagus and all these are all the same plant. Cabbage and kale and the head lettuce and all these things come from the same darn thing. So, and cauliflower and broccoli, they're related, and they're related to kale. So all these things come from one plant. So the diversity isn't there anymore, and diversity is what really helps us. So
and that's a very good point, Nico. A lot of people, I ask people, what are they eating? Because many times their food sense, it's amazing. People spend thousands of dollars to go get like the ALCAT test on their food allergies, and they go, I'm allergic to everything I eat. Well, duh, because we crave what we're allergic to, and we develop allergic things because we don't increase our diversity. So when you increase your diversity, you train your body to think food is scarce. And when your body thinks food is scarce, it loses body fat, and you start to regain your...
Well, you normalize.
You normalize, right. Very good point.
Yeah.
You know, since we're on the subject, this will be nice for twittering, you know, Got Milk. You know, you came across another article in the New York Times. It's called Got Milk? It might not be doing you much good. So here we've got a counterpoint article. You know,
Well, first of all, they start talking about breast milk, that we're born into a fat-burning mode right away. This is how we're born, and we're suckling on the breast, and we're going to be there for 1 or 2 years, some people 3 years, some people in the United States, maybe not at all.
I'm very proud of my daughter. She just is, I think she's pretty much done, but she's nursed my grandson for 21 months.
Wonderful.
And Dr. Marshall says 18 months. Actually, after that, it's really starting to put a drain on the mothers, and the baby should be
especially because our lifestyle has changed.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm really proud that she made that a big part of her life, and you know, 21 months. I wish I could say that I did that. I didn't have the knowledge that I have now, but I really do encourage the breastfeeding. But that's a good point. A lot of people think of breast milk as has the look of being watery, but it's extremely nutrient and fat dense.
Well, that's because it's clear. The fat is the clear part. You know, so I mean,
I know.
You know, it's good for you. I know. I was breastfed, and I thank my parents a lot, but they were kind of. You know, I think in those days, 1944, everybody was pretty much doing that. But the thing is, I was born into what they called the hunger winter in Holland, 1944. We were occupied by the Nazis, and basically everybody had cut down the trees for fuel. And, you know, one of the things is that 1944, the hunger winter, no food around, and now my mother gives birth to me, and my dad, luckily, was in the underground and knew a farmer, so he took the bike out every morning and got milk. He says it's a 20-mile round trip, and my mother had really good milk that wasn't processed, which got to me, and I think that is one of the keys why I really feel so healthy now at 71 years old.
Well, you were properly... I mean, what we are taught in our training is the most important thing that a mother can do for her child is breastfeeding to term. And that doesn't mean 6 weeks. That's 18 months.
And my mother was actually healthier when she was pregnant with me and my sister than when she wasn't, because that way she got the steady milk.
And you know what's
during those years. And remember, all my parents and everybody I knew that was their age lost all their teeth because of their bad diets during the war. And, you know, they had no teeth anymore when they came over here.
Well, you know, there's that saying, too, with pregnant women, they usually lose a tooth because of the mineral deprivation of the mother. And so in the body's infinite wisdom, it says a tooth is easier to sacrifice than a bone. So, you know, again...
Or a child.
Right, right. So what we really try to do is make sure we really fortify that mother with minerals. And guess how the mother takes up the minerals?
Oh.
Fat. Fat is how we cleave. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm sure you guys are
we do. We mention this all the time.
So you basically have to, you know, understand that it's the fat-soluble nutrition, such as the rapidly growing grass fat products from, say, dairy cows, that enables the minerals in the grass to be cleaved to the fat-soluble nutrition so that our bodies can absorb and use it.
Let me ask you a question. How do you know if you've had enough fat? I asked one of the clients the other day.
I don't know. How do you know?
You're not hungry.
Yeah, well, that's true. When you start to be a fat burner, you don't feel that hunger.
When you're hungry, then you need a little more fat.
Yeah, you feel alert.
877-927-6648. You still have one chance to give us a call. Otherwise, just listen and lay back and enjoy yourself. Unless you're driving, of course, pay attention. We'll be right back, folks. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Steve Rhodes as he teaches techniques on technical analysis using pattern recognition, celestial charting, Fibonacci, and other tools. The Trader's Edge, next on TFNN.
And welcome back, everybody. And, before we close, Nico,
yes.
I think it's important for us to discuss, say, handful, 9 or so things that we don't know that you should know about yourself.
I think we should.
I think it's a great way to start. Many of us just don't, we kind of put ourselves into little boxes, and really, number one, there is a life force within you. It's your soul. This shell that we are is really our body of how we experience this reality, but you are so much more. You are your soul. You are not a body. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, not a human having a spiritual experience.
I like the way you put that. Mm-hmm. This is a quote by Rumi. It says, "I have been a seeker, and I still am, but I stopped asking the books and the stars. I started listening to the teachings of my soul." And the point here is that you know more than you think you do. We really run very well if we use our natural instincts. I know I always regret saying, yeah, I know that, but I'm going to do this. And then later on I say, I should have listened to myself.
Yeah, exactly. And we are not a finished product. You know, we are constantly changing and growing, and that's why we're here. You're here to change and grow and evolve. You take different forms physically, mentally, and spiritually. That's why it's so important to be flexible. There's a great person, I really like his stuff, Alan Watts, has a very, his voice, just to hear his...
Yes, and he has got so many things that you can go to YouTube and there's millions
Alan Watts,
of them on
he's
there.
beautiful.
Yeah.
He says, the more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. And the other thing is that when you try to shine, you dim the light within yourself. In other words, when you let the ego take control.
The ego, I'm shining, look at me.
Yeah. And I see that in jiu-jitsu a lot. The person comes in there and egos, and I did this, I did that, I can do this. It's not about that. It's more about learning from your experience and being humble and letting the world come to you.
I think that's beautiful. Maybe I can even say a quote from the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah.
It says, he who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm.
I like that.
He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is.
Yeah. Here's another quote by Wayne Dyer, which says, self-worth cannot be verified by others. You are worthy because you say it is so. If you depend on others for your own value, it is other worth, not
bless
self-worth.
his heart. We lost Wayne Dyer this year, but boy, he was a great teacher.
He was a smart guy.
He sure is, you know. And you don't have to compete with others or anything else, you know. There's no need to be better than those around you. You are safe. You don't have to compete. And again, Lao Tzu said, when you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you.
Yeah. And number 8 is that your path in life is different from everybody else's. Don't really try to copy people. I know that happens a lot in our world. I know in high school I was always looking up to certain guys, but wanting to be with certain girls and trying to change my behavior so I could do that. And I found when I got comfortable with myself, then I could express myself much more honestly, and people see that. People see when you're not honest. People see when you're not sincere and when you're not authentic.
That is so true. Embrace your own uniqueness, because we are unique.
Yeah.
And this one I love. You are never alone. And you're never alone, and you never were. You're always in the company of wonderful, precious, loving self, and that's capital self. Yeah. Your heart and soul are always with you, and that's something that no one can ever take away from you. And here's a beautiful quote from Hermann Hesse that says, as a body, everyone is single, but as a soul, never.
Yeah. And my personal experience too is I did this show for a while by myself.
No, you don't. You do it with me.
Yeah, when we melded together for that first time, I knew immediately there was a connection, and the show has been so much better because you're here, Paige.
Oh, well, thank you, Nico. I love it. I look forward to it every week, and we look forward to seeing you all every week. So stay healthy, live a primal lifestyle, contact either one of us. We'd love to help you.
See you next time.
See you next week.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.